Palworld didn't sneak into gaming's conversation. It broke the door down. 2 million concurrent players on day one, a Pokémon-shaped silhouette wielding an assault rifle, and a business model built entirely on being impossible to describe without sounding like a joke. Survival game, base builder, monster collector, all three simultaneously with automation running underneath like a factory floor staffed by things that used to just sit in your party menu. Version 1.0 doubled down on that identity. A new endgame region, dozens of fresh pals, systems that reward obsession. But strip away the guns and the memes and what's left is a genre lineage running back decades. Creature collection colliding with survival, colliding with a monster economy. Palworld didn't invent any of it, it just refused to pick one.
Every creature collection game owes something to the JRPG's earliest instinct. Make monsters feel like characters, not just stat blocks. Long before Catch 'em All was a slogan, one 1986 role-playing game was already teaching Japanese developers how to design a creature you'd recognize in silhouette alone. Friendly, iconic, instantly readable, even at low resolution. Pocket Pair's own leadership has pointed straight at it when explaining where the pals actually came from. It's less a monster game than a design philosophy. Dragon Quest wasn't a monster collecting game in any mechanical sense. You fought slimes, you didn't catch them. But it solved a problem every creature designer since has had to solve. How do you make a monster that reads instantly, that a player recognizes at a glance and forms an opinion about before a single stat appears on screen? Akira Toriyama's designs for the game, rounded, expressive, a little goofy, never grotesque, became the template an entire industry borrowed from, whether they admitted it or not. That's the specific thread Pocket Pair's Takuro Mizobe has pointed to directly. Not the battle system, not the world map, the character design logic. A PAL needs to communicate what it does and how it feels in under a second, the same way a Dragon Quest slime does. It's a shorthand, friendliness over ferocity, silhouette over detail. It's a strange kind of lineage. A turn-based RPG somehow seeding the visual grammar of a survival crafting game with guns 40 years later. But genre lineage rarely moves in straight lines. Sometimes what gets inherited isn't the mechanic, it's the eye. If Dragon Quest gave the genre its visual grammar, the next decade gave it its entire reason to exist. One 1996 release didn't just popularize monster collection, it invented the commercial category outright, so completely that every game that's followed has had to define itself in relation to it, including this one, whether its developers wanted that comparison or not. Pokémon Red and Green didn't just launch a franchise, they built the entire vocabulary the genre still speaks. Catch, train, battle, evolve, trade. A creature roster with 151 distinct silhouettes, each one a small design puzzle solved cleanly enough that 3 decades later, people can still identify most of them from a shadow. It is, by any measure, the genre's foundational text. Palworld's relationship to it is unusually direct and unusually denied in the same breath. Pocket Pair has been explicit that Pokémon wasn't a source of design inspiration. Mizobe has called it something closer to untouchable, so good I'm afraid to even compare Palworld to it. And yet the game exists entirely inside the space Pokémon carved out, a world built to be filled with creatures, a catch and battle loop that needs no explanation because an entire generation already learned its rules elsewhere. That's a credible lineage claim, not a confirmed one. No shared DNA in the code, but an inheritance of the genre's entire grammar all the same. Somewhere in the 2000s, a different genre was solving the other half of Palworld's identity. Not the collecting, but what a creature is actually for. One 2004 release turned monsters from a party roster into a resource, something you tracked, fought, and broke down into the exact materials that let you fight the next one. It's a loop Palworld runs on almost unchanged. Monster Hunter launched on PlayStation 2 in March 2004, built by Capcom around a deceptively simple structure. Take a quest, track a monster, fight it, carve it for parts, use those parts to craft better gear, take a harder quest. There was no story to speak of in the original. The entire game was the loop, repeated until the player's understanding of a monster's behavior became indistinguishable from skill itself. Pocket Pair has never named Monster Hunter directly, so this is an argued connection. But it's hard to look at Palworld's crafting tree without seeing the shape of it. Pals aren't just companions. They're harvested for parts, fed into weapon and armor recipes, and the whole economy assumes a constant supply of captured creatures feeding the crafting bench. That's Monster Hunter's core exchange. Creature becomes material, becomes power. Just with the killing swapped out for capturing. It's the quiet ancestor. No autonomous colonists, no procedurally generated world, just the simple, brutal idea that a monster's real value isn't in your party. It's in what you can build from it. The 2010s gave Palworld the container all of this actually lives in, a game that proved an open world didn't need to explain itself to be worth exploring. Its creator has been unusually specific about exactly what he borrowed, and it isn't the blocks, it's the way the game refuses to tell you what to do next. Minecraft's full release landed on November 18, 2011, after Marcus Notch Persson built the original prototype in a matter of days back in 2009. Notch himself cited Dwarf Fortress, Dungeon Keeper, and a mining game called Infiniminer as direct influences on the design, a lineage note in its own right, tracing back to exactly the colony and labor sim tradition Palworld's base systems also draw from. But Minecraft's real innovation was structural. A world with no forced path through it, where progression happens because the player wants to dig deep, not because a gate told him to. Mizobi has pointed to this specifically, comparing Palworld's own progressive area unlocking directly to Minecraft's refusal to hard gate player freedom. You unlock new regions as you go, but you're never actually stopped from wandering somewhere you're not ready for. That's a confirmed, named influence, and it's arguably the most structurally important one on this list. The actual shape of the open world everything else gets poured into. Which brings the lineage to its most recent stop before Palworld itself, a game chasing the exact same instinct from the opposite direction. Instead of starting with survival and adding creatures, this one started with creature collection and asked what happens if you modernize it completely. Online, competitive, built for an audience that grew up on the genre Pokémon founded and wanted something built for right now. Temtem launched in 2022 after years of crowdfunded development from the Spanish studio Crema, pitching itself openly as the MMO Pokémon fans have wanted for 20 years. Online from the start, built around double battles and player trading and shared hub worlds, it took the genre's oldest formula and rebuilt it for an audience that expected multiplayer, live updates, and competitive depth as a baseline, not a bonus. There's no creator citation linking Temtem to Palworld. The two studios have no documented connection, but the lineage case doesn't need one. Both games arrived within 2 years of each other, aimed at the same underlying dissatisfaction, that the genre Pokémon built hadn't meaningfully evolved its core loop in decades, and someone needed to drag it somewhere new. Temtem did it by keeping the format and modernizing the infrastructure. Palworld did it by keeping almost nothing and rebuilding the format from survival genre parts instead. Two answers to the same question, arriving back to back. That's what a genre looks like right before something breaks it open completely.
none of it happened in a vacuum. A 40-year-old RPG gave Palworld its eye for a creature, a hunting game gave it an economy, and a sandbox with no rules gave it a world to put both in. Everything Palworld gets credited for reinventing, it actually just finally combined.